Good morning, aviators. This is your captain speaking. Welcome to Basic Fighter Maneuvers.
Someone punched me during the live-action Lion King.
Today, we will be talking about action movies.
Here we are in 3, 2, 1. I am the most complete fighter in the world. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Dodge this.
Yeah, buddy, it's episode 15 of Dodge This, an Action Movie podcast. And guess what? I feel the need.
Oh, the need for speed.
Yeah, correct. That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd leave it out there and see what happened. We are back. It's episode 15. And of course, Matt Hyton's back.
Hiya.
After his little trip to the United States of Scotland and such. My name remains Simon Fielder. If you don't know already, I'm in Amsterdam, but I am a British man by birthright. Matthew joins me via the miracle of technology in London, England, my former home, his current home. Hello.
But I am a northerner by birthright.
That's true. That is
We're all, you know,
You're the
displaced.
Starks, I'm the Lannisters, I guess, in
yeah.
this, which probably doesn't bode so well for my future in the podcast. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I might be the good one. I pay my debts on time. It's been a couple of weeks since you've been here, Matt. What, in a nutshell, where the devil have you been?
Well, I've been in Scotland on a little island called the Isle of Lewis, which is quite remote for a wedding, so it's been lovely. So, yeah. It's been very nice. We don't need to talk about my holiday. Let's just say.
No, but it's just nice to paint a picture of you having a real life outside of this tiny box on my screen.
It was the first time in 2 years, due to pandemics and all the other stuff going on in the world, that I managed to find a place where I was for a prolonged amount of time, where there was no flight zones for my drone. So
yes, I saw some of your clips on the internet. Very nice.
That was fun.
And of course, since you weren't here last episode, we didn't get to reminisce about our lovely in-person meeting in London, where you definitely gave me COVID. So
I've been COVID free. So I don't know who you're licking, but
man,
you're licking the wrong people.
Maybe there's like an action movie where I have a particular set of skills and I track down whoever gave it to me in London.
Maybe there's an action movie where you have those skills, but everyone in your sort of whatever institution you work for is just like, mate, just rest, just sleep.
No, I've got to go and chase someone through a subway system.
There's nothing you can do.
I'm so tired.
Just rest.
Like a really realistic action film.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been sort of gallivanting about the country. Have you had any chance to see anything that isn't the current action movie what we're talking about, which, FYI, if you didn't get it from the opening, is international box office sensation Top Gun Maverick? Have you seen anything apart from that?
I have, actually. I've had a little bit of time to catch up on this season of The Boys, which I absolutely bloody love. And I think the action in that, Simon, is absolutely bloody top level at the moment. So
I haven't
good.
watched any of that show, TBH.
It is sensational. I absolutely love it. What else? I rewatched Attack the Block.
Interesting.
Just because I saw it. I very much enjoyed that. And then
that is a film that when it came out, I was really rooting for it because it's old Joe Cornball's Cornish.
Yeah.
I couldn't root for them Utes. They were such little shits. I just didn't like them.
That is the hardest thing with that film, but the creature design in it is so spectacular. I really hope that at some point they do a follow-up. Speaking of creature design, that is the other thing that I will tell people I watched, because I would love more people to watch it, even though it's a film you'll watch once and probably never watch again because you feel so unsettled.
Welcome to the podcast.
So I finally got to see Mad God this week, which is
that popped up on my Letterboxd the other day, and I didn't know what it was.
It's Phil Tippett, who is an absolute legend in Hollywood for doing visual effects. So he worked on things like Jurassic Park, Star Wars. I think he did RoboCop. Like real sort of just absolute top of his game guy. he spent, I think, it's something like 30 years making this stop motion film.
Whoa.
And it is one of the most unsettling sort of 80 odd minutes of my life. Like, I was really tired, really drained.
Not a good sales pitch for old times.
I bloody loved it, though. It's just so well done. It's just mind-blowing how technical
How
it is.
many people get shot in the dick?
Oh, it's much worse than that. So it's basically this weird...
The whole is a whole stop motion movie.
Yeah, there are bits of live action spliced into sort of animated sets, but essentially...
Okay.
I think this is what it is. It's very hard to tell, but basically seems to be set after some sort of atrocious war where this guy goes in this diving bell down into what is essentially hell, which is over enemy lines to try and destroy with a bomb hell. But he just goes through this landscape of the worst imagery you've seen at times. Like, not
oh my goodness,
overly sexualized or violent or anything like that. So that's sort of worse imagery, but just like these sort of incredible sort of depictions of horrible little goblins and lots of little things. And
I'm sort of intrigued.
It's stunning. It's stunning in the most visceral way. And it's just great. And I think, I don't think I'll ever watch it again unless it's for some reason is on in the background.
Yeah.
But I'm so glad I watched it just because it's just technically...
Just to have it like in the oeuvre of things that you have as a frame of reference.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe
What about
I'll
you?
maybe I'll have a peek. There's actually only one thing really. A new TV show starring Jeff Bridges called The Old Man. So Bridges is in his 70s in real life, plays like an ex-CIA agent, who's retired and living the quiet life. For some reason, somebody comes after him, and his, I guess, particular set of skills comes into play.
Never ever seen a trailer like this or a film like this.
It's a whole series, so it's like, I guess it's like you could say it's taken the TV show, but there is already that TV show. I quite liked it actually. It's quite well done. It's not too over the top. There's a nice little bit of action in the first episode that sort of paints him as, he's old, but he is still a hard nut. And there's
why can't they
some
just
intrigue.
Make this film, but where his retirement, he uses his skills for something that sort of is quite nice. So no one comes try and kill them or anything.
Well, he does actually, he does do quite a lot of cooking in episode 2.
Oh,
so
nice. Good for him.
If that's something you're into.
Like, I'd love to see retired A-team and they just go around the country doing restoration projects from old
That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, with a tie-in Etsy shop, and they're just stuff like that. Stuff that's...
If you have a problem with an old roof or perhaps some damp and no one else can help, maybe you can hire.
Hi there, Howling Mad Murdoch here, and we're going to show you how to make this old table into a real talking piece. See, it'd work. It would work.
I would watch it. I basically do watch shows like that all the time in between the shows where 70-year-old men murdering people. That's my only recommend so far. And I can recommend it in as much as I've seen 2 episodes and I plan on watching more of them. So maybe watch along with us and we can go on the journey together.
No.
Okie dokes. In that case, do you want to have a look at some trailers?
Yes, please.
I think I've had a good idea, which is to limit this to 3 trailers per episode based on some previous episodes. The trailers taking up what should have been almost the entirety of the running time of the episode. Okay, so I've picked a few that popped out to me in the last week or so. Let's start with, I almost didn't put this in, but then I did because I felt like we didn't have like a good DTV representation in the trailers this week. And it's Codename Banshee. This stars Jamie King and Antonio Banderas, who, at one point, Banderas was sort of an A-list actor, wasn't he? But now he pops up in all manner of things.
He still is doing a lot of work. Like he's never sort of been off the scene.
No, well, he popped up in Uncharted recently. I suppose that was a big old budget thing.
He's got his own Puss in Boots movie.
course he has. And now he's in a sort of, I don't know, retired assassin, direct-to-video.
Is it
a
a film about a retired assassin who has to come out of retirement? Unbelievable.
It's definitely one of the 5. It's definitely one of Matt Heighton's 5 action movie tropes. A former government assassin in hiding resurfaces when his protege, the equally deadly killer known as Banshee, discovers a bounty has been placed on his head. Now they must put the past behind them and join together for one last time to fight off the secret CIA-backed killers who threaten to destroy them. Could go either way, couldn't it?
Yeah, again.
Could go either way.
Why don't they just let Antonio Banderas have a little YouTube channel about cleaning metal or something? Much better film already.
Right. Just host the new series of Scrap Heap Challenge, Antonio.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? I will say this about Antonio. He's got a dance background, and so he's quite good at choreography and fight scenes and that sort of thing. So there's a bit of potential. But the dude who directed this, his IMDb is like a list of straight-to-video movies I've never seen nor heard.
Yeah, but you
Who
always
knows?
say that's negative, but I sometimes think there's a lot of talented people who just need
Of
that
course.
project to get off the ground. And so I didn't hate this trailer. Didn't hate it.
Mm-hmm.
But again,
and that's why I put it in, because
Yeah.
I watched a bunch of DTV things that did look like sort of dreck, and this one was like, okay, it could be all right. It could be all right.
Again, we talked about this sort of thing before, but this is the sort of film that looks like 10, 20 years ago, this would have been a summer blockbuster that comes and goes. But now, like, there's such a push for DTV content. It looks really well produced. Whether it'll feel that, I don't know. I'll give it a watch.
Only one way to find out. Read the Letterboxd reviews before wasting 2 hours on it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some slightly more exciting things. Next up, a teaser, I suppose this is, for Bad City from Kensuke Sonomura, who directed...
excited about this already, aren't you?
Yeah,
I can tell.
because I've talked about his debut before. He's like a sort of fight coordinator, stunt coordinator, got big history in that, but he made a movie called Hydra a few years back in Japan, which was like a micro budget, shot in 7 days movie, which, while the movie storytelling side of it was a little bit slow, borderline boring at times, the actual movie only came in at like 77 minutes, and it featured a couple of fight scenes which had a spark and a flair to them that I would argue, has not been seen for a while. It made me excited, and I've definitely said this before, the first time like Donnie Yen started discovering MMA and SPL and Flashpoint, where you were like, ooh, this is like fighting captured on screen in a way I have not seen before. And Hydra did that. And again, I sent you that.
Yeah, I know.
scene.
I've not seen the film, but
I bet you still haven't watched it, have you?
No, I've watched the fight scene.
You have watched the fight scene,
and it was
okay,
incredible.
great.
It goes as soon as I watched it, I was like, "This is brilliant," because this does exactly the opposite of what I hate in a fight scene. Does what I love, which is it lets the fight play out without trying to edit around it to make it feel faster. So it makes it feel more visceral. So it does that thing. It put me in mind of like horror films in a really weird way, where it knew when to turn the camera to give you sort of. So it was like they decided to change the camera angle when you needed a different sort of viewpoint on the fight, but not to obscure the fight itself or to try and cheat it or to make it feel bigger or faster. They just showed off what is obviously their top strength, which is the choreography, which is why I'm excited about Bad City, because that looks like this on a mass scale. Just from that little teaser, yeah. It's
the classic sort of, we've given him a little bit more money and we've got like a bigger scale going on. Also, there is a Japanese actor called Hitoshi Ozawa, who I don't know much about his oeuvre, but it's got a little bit of a sort of old boy vibe.
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Just from that
an old dude,
yeah.
Also, there's a bit where he's in a corridor, sort of attacking a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess he's quite a well-known Japanese actor. I'm just scrolling through his IMDb, and it goes back to 1984, and there's just like loads and loads of stuff, loads of TV shows, movies. So it's only a 1 minute teaser, so we don't really know. I don't really know if there's any of the Utes in there, any of the guys from Hydra, like those. If you haven't seen Hydra, it's worth 70 minutes of your time just to see a couple of guys just going at it with like such speed and dexterity that is very exciting. And I hope that is replicated and built upon in Bad City. We will see.
In 40 seconds, they look like they're going to have some big sort of riot scenes and some big group action fight scenes, which is, if they can put a gripping story between those, they'll have something special. Yeah, there's something about that trailer straight away. I was like, this is going to be good.
Yeah. There's a lot of Japanese men in matching black suits running at each other fast,
and baseball kits by the looks of it, I think, as well.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So we've got some like Yakuza tropes. We've got the warriors in there. I'm here for it. I'm ready. All right. One last one. Another one. I think I'm excited about this. We've spent quite a lot of the post RRR podcasts talking about Indian cinema because me, you, and Emil especially have started diving into this, the enormous back catalogue. And I've been trying to just mainly watch the action movies, which is probably unfair to an entire industry of cinema. Like, I've also bookmarked a few movies that people have been like, these are great films, just watch them. However, my sort of snaffling of Indian action treats has I think it's sort of revealed tropes, things that in RRR were like, oh my goodness, this is so exciting, I've never seen it before. Like the sort of the undercranking and the fast motion to slow motion, the speed ramping, which the first time you see it is like, this is great. And then you watch like 4 more movies and they all do that exact thing. And it's like, oh, this is how you make it look like people who can't fight can fight, by having like a stuntman to be like clotheslined and do a flip in slow motion, one at a time. And that that is wearing a little thin, which is to say that the one of the exciting discoveries from Indian cinema is VIDYUT, who we watched in Sanak.
Yeah,
who he seems to be leaning more into the Hong Kong style of action. Like he's a super hard martial artist. He likes the long takes. So he is back in the trailer for Kuda Hafiz 2. I was not aware of there being a Kuda Hafiz 1 until I saw this trailer. Kuda Hafiz 1 is now in my watch list. But it seems like in the original movie, his wife disappears and he goes and finds some people and kicks them. And in this, the follow-up, his daughter or some young children are kidnapped and he goes into the movie The Raid 2 to get them.
I mean, again, fits into the 5 action genres. But also, do you know what? Still, my wife, shame on me. Still, other members of my family, shame on me even more. Yeah. I mean, it looks good. It looks good. I can't tell much about this. I feel like you say, with VIDYUT being in it, I feel like that's enough for me to go, right, this will be handled in a good way. So I will watch it. But yeah. Trailer didn't blow me away.
No.
I'm in.
I think it's one of those where the action scenes will probably be interesting. Like, I sat through 2 hours of Commando 3 when really probably I could have watched 10 minutes of action scenes on YouTube and been like, well, that's pretty good. And then not had to sort of deal with 1 hour 45 of not very great movie.
How dare you?
So I'm interested to see this. I mean, he is a man who clearly wears his influences on his sleeve, and this could not look more like The Raid 2 if it tries. Clearly there's a massive brawl in a very muddy, rainy prison. Like, I don't think there's a way to do that doesn't say, we really like The Raid 2. Someone's holding a hammer in one point. But fair play. Like, he's got skills, and I'm excited to see him in action. So fingers crossed. It's a good one.
It's a good one.
Matthew.
Yes.
Are you ready to fly the friendly skies? Brackets, actually unfriendly skies.
Yeah, I was going to say, you really missold the level of friendliness in the skies, actually.
Matthew, I've got a feeling, and I'm feeling a need.
Well, let me just say on your feeling, don't lose it, Simon. Because if you've lost it,
it is a loving feeling.
If you've
actually.
lost it, I'll be livid.
I'm torn between my loving feeling and my need for velocity feeling.
Okay.
Let's get into it. It's the feature presentation.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
Thank you. I might start using your live jingles now. Yeah. If I was better at producing music, I could remix your little just put some beats behind it.
Thanks. Feel free.
All right, here we go. We made it finally. Several weeks after its release, due to Scotland. Let's blame Scotland, and due to London. Also, due to perhaps COVID-19 and people being busy, we finally got to see Top Gun Maverick.
Woo! Oh my God.
Where to start? Well, does anyone remember a movie from the 1980s where Thomas Cruise flies around being a very slick Navy air pilot?
A naval aviator. A naval aviator.
A naviator.
Yes.
Yes. Well, some 20, however many years later, finally, the sequel I would say in name only, but in everything. But it's almost like a rebirth, like a reworlding, isn't it? I don't know how to describe it. Why don't you do one of your classic plot sum-ups?
Well, two things about this film. What I was surprised at is Top Gun Maverick. You don't need to have seen Top Gun to enjoy this film. My wife came with me and she loved it, and she's never seen Top Gun. So I'm just going to put that out there. But to summarize this film, it is about a pilot who is a legend in the Navy, who is in a state of arrested development because of something that happened in his past. And he believes that his place is exactly where he has always been, flying planes and doing what he does without any need for a career or progress. And that is in part to do with stuff he is dealing with in his past and an inability to let things go and move on. And it is also just a very, very cool film about flying planes. And just, I absolutely bloody loved it.
I like that you approached that through the sort of probably the way that like the director pitched it to Tom Cruise. Instead of going, there's just a lot of planes flying around and it looks fucking amazing. You found the human kernel of the story, which is that it is about aging, I suppose, becoming obsolete, or like the human journey of the character of Maverick. I feel like we're almost making it sound deeper than it is, but
no, but I think it is that deep. I think that's why. I mean, this film is getting reviewed through the roof, and I think that's why. If you just wanted to see Maverick flying planes again, you'd have a very shallow film. So what I love about this, which a lot of these legacy films where they bring characters back, they try to remember what they were doing when they made these original films, whereas they looked at the character in Maverick, they looked at the big moments in his original journey in Top Gun, and they went, where would this character be now? And they allowed him to be that, and they allowed him to be, not like in any way, like he's not an old man in a plane. He's not flying around going back in my day. But he is sort of like, I think that's the thing. Like, he's in this point where he's not a screw up, and he's not the Maverick he was, but he hasn't allowed himself to forgive himself from what happened in the first Top Gun, which I said, it's all laid out in the film. So if you've never seen Top Gun, you can watch this. I think that's true. What glues this together, because the action in this, like the actual plane stuff, is phenomenal. The amount of adrenaline they pump into this film is next level. But when I came away, weirdly, that was just like a beautiful icing on a cake. And actually, like the emotional stuff really lands and really resonates. And I think that is so rare for this sort of action film, and two, this sort of legacy film. I think it is the best legacy film I've seen coming out of this wave of we're taking characters and films from back in our youth and bringing them back to the screen. I think this has done it in the most sort of weirdly for a film about flying planes against, let's say it, an enemy that is never named, just like
a
the
very
enemy.
unnamed enemy, a very studiously unnamed enemy. Yeah.
You get the flavor of all the big ones, but they never name it. But like to say, like it's essentially got this mission that is, when you break down the actual mission aspect and the reason that Tom Cruise goes back to Top Gun, it's actually secondary. They just need a reason to bring him back and to give this sort of jeopardy and this sort of reason for him to train these next generation pilots who in themselves are close to obsolescence through to like drone technology, which we know I'm a big fan of. And, stuff like that. So it's like this perfect sort of soup of bygone eras and people who don't fully understand their future, understanding that right now this is what they need, which is great. And the way they've done the next generation of pilots, they've still got all that sort of competition, that testosterone, but they don't feel like they're in a different age. They feel like, this is what I imagine they're like this day. And it's just
that is true. Yeah,
it's great.
But I do think they are, or maybe it speaks to how that type of super alpha personality hasn't really changed in like 20 plus years, because those, all the sort of, I mean, and also this takes place in an imaginary world where everyone is always like glimmering in sweat and it's always like magic hour. And so it is this sort of hyper stylized thing.
Can I just say something to pick you up on a point there that is actually going to make your spine shudder? If it was 20 plus years, you'd be talking about 2002. It's nearly 40 years, Simon. We're talking about the 80s, not the early 2000s.
Okay, we have to end the podcast here because I just need to go have an existential crisis for a minute.
Yeah.
What?
20 years ago was 2002, mate.
When did this movie come out?
Top Gun wasn't. It was it late 80s or mid 80s? I think it's about 80. I want to say 89
87.
or 87. Yeah, that around that sort of. It's post 85. I'm going to say. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Top Gun.
How long ago was 1987?
87. You absolutely smashed it. So that is 35 years.
I'm typing into Google, how long ago was 1987?
35 years. I've just done the maths for you. Do you know an interesting thing that I learned this week? Just something...
that we're closer to death than being born?
Well, that's always the case.
Is it?
Yeah. Every day you live is a success.
Oh, God.
So on one of my YouTube recommends, there's a breakdown of something from Batman Begins, and there's a little intro to it. And I was then given a video recommendation for an MTV Movie Awards. You know when they used to do the little put people in films. They did one for Batman Begins, and it was something. It was like 2005, and one that blew my mind. But two, that means it is close. Batman Begins is closer to the Tim Burton Batman than we are to Batman Begins now. Yeah, it's great.
I've got a nosebleed. I can't continue.
Talking about action,
it's too much. Just
a segue, but talking about action films, because Batman Begins was a real sort of cornerstone for reinventing that sort of mid 2000s action. Like it really shuffles away. Like there's things like that, Batman Begins and Bourne, for example. I think they're real like cornerstones to when the way that directors and cinematographers and stuntmen approach action, and
absolutely
a lot to do with digital filmmaking, making things stunts, sort of how they approach that different. But yeah, that just blew my mind because I feel like that era is where action changes for these big blockbusters.
Welcome to Dodge This, the podcast where two comedians who thought they were young realize they are not.
I'm quite excited about this. I quite like this. Not getting older.
So mad
I hate
that it's that far away though. But, I didn't watch it like in the cinema when it came out. So I guess I watched it probably in my teens, which was some time after 1987.
He's talking about
the original Top Gun,
not Batman Begins. Don't
no, I definitely saw Batman Begins in the cinema.
But
Big fan.
Top Gun, for like a lot of people of our generation, for those guys, that was one of those films that was just with you all the time. Because again, like how we consume was so different that this was probably in our teens, this was a film that was just on TV a lot. So you understand that because, there's like 4 channels and 3 of them are showing snooker or something. So you're going to watch
or
Top
like
Gun.
Somebody had it on VHS,
Yeah, that's
and I think it also is one of those movies that is such a kind of drawing pin in the cultural landscape that everyone's like, oh yeah, Top Gun. But like, when did I last watch Top Gun? I probably in the 1990s. So
I watch it about once a year.
I think it's better that it lives in my sort of rose-tinted memory banks than I go back and watch it and be like, wow, this was a different era.
Weirdly, what I love about Top Gun Maverick is I think that is almost, not in the way that a lot of these sequels give new life to the originals, but I think as a character, if you look at the 2 films as one, as a character study, I think that's actually quite an amazing arc for like Maverick. I think like, you look at this cocky young guy who like is the best of the best, and then all his journey with Goose and everything. It's still Top Gun 1 again. It is quite an emotional film.
Yeah, I mean, going into this, I didn't really remember the plot of the first Top Gun, and I forgot that. I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say that Goose, his best mate in Top Gun, dies in Top Gun, right? That's like a big
his
thing.
co-pilot and his best friend.
His co-pilot and best friend. I don't know if you can hear, but it sounds like Tom Cruise is just driving past my house.
Weirdly, I've got IMDb.
Motorbike.
I've got IMDb open on the Top Gun Maverick thing, and there's a slideshow playing of Tom Cruise films, and there's that motorbike pass. He's on a motorbike in Top Gun, and I was like, have I left the sound on? It's on something.
As we started, I was like, I think my window's open a little bit, but no, can't hear anything. And then somebody somewhere was like, check this out. So yeah, my abiding memories of the first Top Gun are the sort of Pinterest board of things from it, like the piano scene in the bar, the volleyball scene on the beach, and loads of flying about, and probably Tom Cruise riding a motorbike. I'd forgotten that Meg Ryan was in the original Top Gun as well. Until there was a flashback.
Yeah, she's absolutely great in it.
So, like you say, you don't need that going in because they do layer it on pretty heavy at the beginning. Like he's still troubled by, the death of his friend, and then blah, blah, blah. That's arguably like held him back personally and professionally. But
this is the other relationship. We're talking about Tom Cruise as a character, but obviously the core of this is kind of a father-son relationship, which is really interesting. So again, for plot purposes, like Goose, who was his co-pilot and best friend in the original, had a son in the original, and
that's right.
He has wanted to follow in his father's shoes. The lovely call sign of Rooster, and Tom Cruise is sort of caught up in this thing where Rooster has come to Top Gun, and he doesn't forgive him, not for his father, but actually for Tom Cruise's character Maverick holding back his career due to a promise he made his Rooster's dying mum. And again, it's got this swell of emotion underneath it, which means Maverick is allowed to be in this state of arrested development. It's not another character where he's struggling to try and understand his own sort of son or daughter. He has been this father figure to his best friend's son through guilt. And then this has created this sort of puncture and this sort of like massive divide between them. And so they have these unresolved sort of father-son feelings, whilst also this undertow of like Tom Cruise guilt and Rooster to some level resentment from what happened to his father. And it gives again this really emotional punch. And then on the side of this, you've got my first ever screen crush, Jennifer Connelly. Absolutely incredible in this. Like,
she doesn't get a lot to do, but she does imbue it with a good amount of like humanity and makes a fairly underwritten character quite interesting, I would say.
But again, they have a sort of back plot, which they didn't go sort of like, let's try and get Kelly McGinnis back or something like that. They went, let's allow Tom Cruise's character to have evolved and lived through this. And again, so they've got a whole plot, which you never knew from the first film, but you feel the weight of, and sort of Jennifer Connelly's character has a daughter and stuff. And again, it's weird that on an action film podcast, the one thing that we've come away from is actually the emotional sort of heft of this film, which essentially is a glossy, just adrenaline pumped film.
Very glossy. But I think it underlines what we say all the time, which is that what makes action better is caring about the characters, like going into the scenes, you know, and that having a relationship and being like, oh my goodness, I hope everyone's going to be okay.
Well, let's talk about that, because the action is incredible. There were so many times I wanted to fist pump the air. This film, let me tell you how much this film landed. When the credits rolled, I thought I was the happiest man in the world. Like, I generally felt like, oh my God, no one can feel as good as I feel right now. And then I was instantly realized I was the second happiest man in the world as a man who was sat on his own down in the front few rows, stood up and gave the film a solo standing ovation. He was like, just like clapping. And I was the only one who joined in, which was quite awkward. But like,
this is like another bromance you found
I love
after
it.
RRR.
I love
now
it.
In Top Gun. You're making friends every time you go to the cinema. I love that. I love that.
I was once hit in The Lion King.
Someone hit.
Someone punched. Segue. Do this very quickly. Someone punched me during the live action Lion King.
What?
So this guy and this woman were sat next to me and they were talking through the Lion King quite loud. So I turned around and go, I was like, shh, can you please? Like, just, can you keep it down? And the woman's like, yeah. And then I started talking. So I was like, please, can you stop talking? And then I turned around again because I was still doing it. It was really irritating. I went, for fuck's sake, shut up. Like this. And then I turned back to the film, and 2 minutes later, this arm just came over his girlfriend. Thankfully, the girlfriend was between us. Just whacked me on the chest really hard. It was an absolute...
Whoa.
It was a big dude. I was like, oh, fuck, I'm going to get my ass whooped in the middle of the Lion King. So I had to sort of go and tell the people at the cinema. The cinema didn't do anything about it. Didn't even come and say anything. So I sat through I can't remember the second half of The Lion King because I was just getting ready for this guy to fill me in because he kept looking over and it was really tense. And then at the end of the film, he stood up and I was like, oh my God, he's going to just absolutely destroy me now. And he went, don't you ever tell me to shut up during The Lion King. I was like, mate, you should be talking through a film. And he's like, well, you didn't have to do it that rude. You could have just asked us politely to shush. And his wife went, actually, he did ask like 2 or 3 times. And then he went, why didn't you tell me? I wouldn't have hit you then, but you did deserve it. And then he walked out. And I was like, oh, this is weird.
What the fuck?
It was mad. It's mad. Anyway.
That is a very random and quite unpleasant story of basically being assaulted in the cinema, to be fair.
It's ruined the live action Lion King for me.
And it's cast a pall over the live action Lion King. Yeah.
But anyway.
Mate, that is like my worst nightmare because every time there's some chat or some like people being dickheads in the cinema, my blood starts to boil. And then, you have those like fantasy, I have a very special set of skills moments in your brain where you're like, okay, well, I guess this is how this is going to go. And you just end up being like, and I've never got to the point of being like, well, shut the fuck up, because someone is just going to stand up and be like, oh, cool, here's 6'5" guys very angry at me, even though I'm definitely in the right because he was being a dickhead. But I guess it's not possible to reason with them. Oh, mate.
That was lovely to see your inner monologue there. Back to Top Gun, the action
Back
scenes.
to Top Gun. Well, I saw Top Gun in the cinema on the hottest day of the year because I guess this my whole life, I've never... When it's sunny outside, I'm like, great. Like, if there's a reason to be somewhere enjoying myself, great. If not, I'm just going to treat it like any other day. And on this day, it was the first day off I'd had in a while. I really wanted to see Top Gun. And I was like, well, I'm just going to go and see Top Gun. What else am I going to do? Just sit in the sun on my own in a park? No, mate. There was only 4 of us in the whole screen is where that was headed. So there wasn't any chatter, nor was there any applause or whooping. But there was a lot of me grinning from ear to ear.
It's so good.
We've talked a lot in the past few weeks about propaganda in movies.
Yeah.
From RRR to the Battle of Lake Changjing. And I feel like it's probably worth noting, so as it doesn't sound like we can only see propaganda when it comes from other countries, that this is some might argue, sort of like a recruitment video for the Navy.
I think they were aware of that because the original Top Gun was exactly that. The original Top Gun was exactly that thing.
Well, you don't get to like film on an aircraft carrier without, tacit permission and paying the US Navy, right?
Yeah. I think they're more aware now of like how international films could cause big upsets and incidents, hence why they went the enemy and sort of went, here's a dash of this, a sprinkle of that. But again, like, yeah, there's definitely that sort of still, we are the best, blah, 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 in it, USA, USA. But I think they squashed that down in comparison to the first one.
Well, the first one, the baddies were the Russians, right?
Were they?
I think so, because didn't they have MiG jets?
But yeah, for some reason, I thought they were from the Middle East, but that might be me remembering Hot Shots.
Again, I could have misremembered that, but in my faded, what turns out 35-year ago memory. But so remember when we watched the trailer for this, and I remember thinking, well, that looks, very exciting. And then I just remember thinking, who are the bad guys and what they have managed to do in this movie, which I think works both to its benefit and potential, maybe not as much to its detriment, actually, is never name the enemy, which is maybe quite a smart move in the current climate. Yes.
North Korea in Top Gun 1.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, some things change, and I guess maybe not as much changes.
I mean, if you're going to pick an international bad guy, no one's going to bat an eyelid.
Yeah. I guess that is true. But yeah, what is quite interesting about this movie is that the sort of central mission is what I can only describe as like a sort of video game level, right? They set it up in such a way that it's like they never say where they are, where they need to bomb a thing, and they need to avoid lots of missiles, and they need to not alert anyone, and there's a time schedule.
And they need to fly old planes because, everything.
Right. It couldn't be more of like a Call of Duty or whatever the flying planes version of Call of Duty video game is.
Ace Combat.
Ace Combat. Ace Combat 7. So, yeah. And even as I was watching it, I was like, it's like the bullet points of a plot, It's like, okay, what do we need? What's really hard to do? Okay, fly below radar. That's really hard to do. Okay, what else is hard to do? The bombs have to they have to go right into the Death Star in this exact point.
It's a real Death Star moment.
There's surface to air missiles, so they've got to avoid those. And also the enemy has better planes than them, so they cannot be alerted. And let's hope that they don't get alerted. I can't imagine they would be alerted, would they? There would be no need for them to try and fight old planes against new planes and have that be the sort of metaphor for the whole movie. Wait a second.
It's great.
It reminded me also of, I think, is it Skyfall? The one where
where he goes back towards the golden era spies in the cabin.
No, just in terms of maybe it's sort of from Casino Royale onwards, but James Bond realizing that he is like a product of the past.
Yeah.
And he's like a sexual tyrannosaur, and how relevant is he in the modern world? Like, it echoed that for me. And I read an interesting review or write-up that someone said it's the first time that Tom Cruise has acknowledged he is getting old.
Yeah.
In spite of the fact that he sits in the back of a real fighter jet and goes upside down throughout the movie.
Well, isn't this
and the fact
thing?
that he put together a 3-month training regime for all of the actors so that they could get up in real fighter planes with ridiculous G-forces.
Yeah, because he flies planes, doesn't he?
Yeah, I don't know what, he doesn't fly this level of plane, but he flies a couple of levels down. If this is Formula 1, maybe he flies Formula 3. I'm not sure that analogy works.
I don't know if that means anything. Okay.
But basically, he can fly some sort of jet plane, I think.
But I mean, but this is the thing. Because we are an action film podcast, let's talk about that. It is exactly that. It looks incredible because so much of it is practical. Some of these shots. And again, talking about that Tom Cruise acknowledging he gets older, he gets older, but not in like the die-hard, oh, this new stuff is bad.
Yeah, he's never like too old for this shit.
Like his whole thing at the beginning is he's pushing the envelope with tech, and it's not like he romanticizes old stuff. He would prefer to be flying the new stuff, so they're aware of all those tropes.
Yeah.
What makes this film great on our level as an action film podcast is when they do get into planes and when they do those sort of little montages or that final action sequence. It's incredible.
Yeah.
You feel like you're going so fast through the air.
It's so difficult to describe, isn't it?
Yeah. You feel like the G's, like when they're experiencing the G's, you're like, I'm in there with you, buddy. Like
Yeah.
it's so. I can't remember what the director's called. Is it Joseph
Kosinski?
Joseph Kosinski. They knew where to put that camera every
Yeah.
time in those action sequences. They knew when you needed to be looking at the pilots' faces to understand the emotion behind them. They knew when you needed to see how fast they're going. There's a bit where really early on where I was like, they know exactly how to film this sort of thing, where Tom Cruise is on a motorbike coming up a runway or something.
And it's definitely Tom Cruise riding the motorbike.
yeah. And it was as simple as, to make the bike feel faster, they made the camera do the opposing direction. It was that simple. That was how easy it was. And it was just...
It's like a...
Yeah. And it was just like, okay, I am going to feel every turn in this, everything. And that's, I think, from that sort of big level, like plane choreography, that is this film's biggest strength. When that plane turns, you see the pilot struggling with it. They really understood how the actors needed to act in order to tell you this isn't an easy thing. This isn't This isn't Ryanair. This is like,
and also
else.
they put actors in the back of jet planes being flown by Top Gun pilots. So like when their faces are like, I mean, that's not acting.
Yeah.
They're literally in a plane going upside down at like 5G or whatever it is. G5?
Yeah, 5G.
Is that a band? 5G is what called COVID, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it's insane. Like that they, you watch behind the scenes things and listen to a podcast where they spoke to the director, and apparently they just like took a load of stuff out of the planes and put like 6 cameras in the plane, and then they flew up there, and then the actor just like pressed a button to start recording, and then they were just like,
isn't that
just
mad?
do the lines, do some faces, do the lines. It's incredible.
But it's also mad to think that the cameras could take that amount of G's and look that slick.
Yeah.
Like
they attach cameras to the outside of planes. I'm like, what kind of GoPro suction cup have you got on that thing?
Also, which company's doing the insurance for this?
Dude, can you imagine?
Like,
I mean, let alone for the equipment, mate. Just like all the actors up there. Insane. I mean, I think Tom Cruise must have like a red Batman phone to the insurance people where he goes,
oh, yeah.
I'm making this movie. We're doing it for real. What? I mean, have you seen how much my movies make?
I'm gonna Google.
And they go, I guess okay. This is his highest grossing movie of all time.
Oh, really? Already?
It's nearly made, or by now it probably has made $1 billion internationally.
Well, you're welcome for that extra £12 or whatever it was from me, Tom.
Exactly.
That's on me.
But his previous top one was Mission Impossible Fallout, which I'm an enormous fan of, and this has already knocked it off the top spot in less time, I guess, which is incredible. I mean, there's no denying the weight of the global pandemic and us being all super excited to go back to the cinema, which has definitely boosted this. And this movie was finished in 2019. Yeah. And then was delayed because they had to reshoot something, and then COVID happened, and they were like,
I say this loosely, but I think they had to remove stuff maybe due to Ukraine and stuff as well. I think there's quite a lot of
interesting.
Or they were there was I half remembering someone talking about this on something else, which is just given global events. Yeah.
And also, like, I think as much as we can make fun of Tom Cruise and that he's clearly a crazy old madman, Tom Cruise,
you can make fun of him. I really love him.
Tom Cruise is cinema right now. Like, that man lives, breathes, and will almost certainly die cinema. Like, he I don't know if this happened in your screening. I assume it's attached to all of the I want to say reels, but I think they come on discs or hard drives or via a satellite. Anyway, he comes on at the beginning and gives a little speech. Did you have this at your
Well, I
screening?
don't know. We had traffic problems, so I walked into a black.
Turned up late.
No, I walked into a black screen, and as I stepped through the doors, it went ding.
Whoa.
Ding, ding.
Okay. So at the beginning,
I was like, yes.
and that guy at the front was already cheering.
Yeah.
But before the movie, like he pops up like fucking like Alfred Hitchcock back in the day, like, welcome to my film. Please enjoy cinema as it's meant to be enjoyed. But literally, it's just Tom Cruise was just like, hey, great that you're back at the movies. We're making movies. We're doing it. We flew real planes. We're excited for you to see Top Gun Maverick. All right. Enjoy it. It's
great.
just so random.
No, it's great.
But, I mean, he's flying the flag for like, I don't want to say old fashioned cinema, but like, you know, imagine Netflix made this movie.
I now call it like experience cinema. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Or like practical effects kind of.
but
vibes,
it's not
right?
that. I think there's something about. If I watched this on my TV, I'd still love it.
Old fashioned movie making.
There's something about being in a cinema, especially on the level of this film. Like, if I wish I'd seen this at IMAX, and with surround sound playing and people around you, and you feel that prickle of excitement coming through the audience and stuff, and you understand you're watching a film where everyone around you has experienced what you're experiencing. That is a genuinely, like, that communal experience of cinema is something that I hope never goes away.
Yes.
Like, comedy is a good example for this, where you're in a
100%.
room and you hear all those people laugh, and it makes you laugh more because you know that, again, it's a communal experience. And I think that is why films like this are amazing. And it's why I love Marvel as well. And I know a lot of people criticize Marvel, but it keeps the cinemas open. It keeps people coming back. And then other films, maybe they get limited releases or they get indie cinemas. Whatever keeps those cinemas open, do it.
Yeah.
Because
Well, I mean, Tom Cruise is basically keeping those cinemas open currently with this this sort of thing. But yeah, I think you're right with the comedy analogy is a great one. Like, you can watch a Netflix special and be like, oh, yeah, it's pretty funny. But like, it's nothing compared to being in a room watching a comedian. I think it's the exact parallel of, yeah, Top Gun's probably going to be pretty enjoyable if you watch it at home on your, 45-inch widescreen with your nice sound bar, which is like, okay, this is a nice way to watch a movie. But it doesn't compare to seeing it on a massive screen, ideally surrounded by like-minded people who don't talk all the way through and or assault you.
I love how you refer to your TV as a widescreen, thinking that there's people out there still with 4:3 TVs.
Watching CRT 4:3s. Mate, I bet they're coming back. I bet the kids are watching shit in 4:3. Wait, there's all the cool music videos are in 4:3 nowadays.
Yeah. The
It's coming
Lighthouse
back.
was a great film.
But yeah, I think like fair play to the Cruise Meister for not releasing this onto streaming during the pandemic, which we all would have loved to see it. But he's right. This is how to enjoy these movies, and I for one cannot await for the new Mission Impossible.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be incredible. 2-parter. Oh yes, please.
Yeah, and Macquarie is had a pass on this script as well. Macquarie,
really?
Christopher Macquarie, who did the last 2 Mission Impossibles. Yeah,
Interesting.
There's 3 people credited for the screenplay and 2 people for the story. I think because it's been in the works for 20 years or whatever, it's gone through any number of iterations. It's just good old cinema, isn't it?
Yeah.
It just is a good time.
If you want an adrenaline-fueled thrill ride even, with an undertow of absolute emotion, this is the film for you. Also, on that emotion, I nearly cried with the Val Kilmer thing. I think it'd be absolutely the worst thing we could do to not talk about how well they brought Val Kilmer back into the fold, and also how well, given that he was the main sort of rival / almost antagonist in the first one, how much weight they gave to the journey of them as friends without ever playing any of that out. It was just beautiful. And I just think that's obviously come from probably Tom Cruise himself, but all the filmmakers and screenwriters involved, and like the people who recreated Val Kilmer's voice. If you don't know this, Val Kilmer had cancer and he lost his voice, unfortunately, entirely. So
yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And so going in, I was like, they seem to be like playing up this voice thing a lot. I guess Val Kilmer is not very well. And then I read that like his voice was generated in AI.
Yeah, incredible. But yeah, just
unbelievable.
Just unbelievable. An absolute testament to how insane tech is getting and AI is getting.
Yeah.
But also just the way they managed to allow that character to come back, live on, and then,
really nicely handled.
Then play into real world stuff. Just beautiful. And if for some reason someone from that team is listening, or Val himself absolutely could still bloody act without a voice and absolutely smashed how you did that. Great work.
Fair play. And now that there's 15 episodes of this podcast, I would imagine they have enough data to be able to recreate our voices with AI. So perhaps the next time either of us has to go away and can't do the podcast, we could just script it, and then they could.
Yeah, they could do that.
Probably
that'd be
generate
cheap
that
as well. That'd be quite cheap.
Or the entire podcast is like, "Hello, I am Simon Fielder from London. Today we will be talking about action movies."
That's quite good. I'd listen.
It's sort of an 80s throwback vibe. I think it's a double thumbs up, isn't it? From the old from the Symes and the Hightower.
It's been a long time since I've watched a film where I could instantly rewatch a film again, and I've had 2 of those in the last month. It's incredible.
3 if you count RRR, everything.
Everything Everywhere All at Once. RRR, I don't think I could watch straight away again. It was too long. But Everything Everywhere,
just logistically.
Top Gun, I could have literally walked out of that screening and walked to another screening and sat down and watched it all again without a blink.
That is a high praise. Now, Matthew, what is your action replay moment? Let's do it. Play the goddamn jingle.
Absolutely, and this is a spoiler. So if you've not seen this yet, I don't know why you've listened to all this because we've spoiled loads. But
okay, as you talk, I'll just do this. Beep.
Please do.
That should work, right?
Tom Cruise's character of Maverick has been told to stand down from his Top Gun instruction because he's too much of a Maverick. Funny that.
A Maverick.
And so he realizes that all his team and all these kids who are training for this mission, they are almost certainly going to die if he doesn't show them that this mission is possible. And so he goes against all regulation and rules, and this course that seemed impossible to complete, he does it in a faster time than they needed to do to prove that it's doable. And it was just, I nearly fist pumped the air when that happened. It was incredible. And again, knowing where to put the camera, watching people go through all the emotions of what's he doing. Oh my God, this is incredible. Oh my God, he's going to do this. Oh my God,
it's true. The
done
reactions tell the story, don't they? It's so when it's not until you sort of look at it in hindsight that you're like, oh yeah, I guess they're all just sat in a room going, okay, now he's doing this. Now he's doing this. And they tell the story without saying anything. Like they're just watching him.
They, sorry to interrupt, but it's just such again, just from the director's point of view of making this call, they react so subtly because they're superior officers in the room, so they can't stand up and cheer. The emotion is, again, it's just good acting. Like just underplayed because they are aware that what's happening is insubordination. What's happening is going to undermine authority, and what's happening they can't react to fully because of the repercussions that can have on them. And I just think that is absolutely superb filmmaking in an incredible action sequence as well. So there's mine.
And I feel like I want to, not an action replay, but just when you said good acting, Glenn Powell, who plays the sort of proto or the next gen version of Iceman, right? Yeah. He's basically the super douchebag. Like, I guess he's very good at acting because I thought he was such a super douchebag all the way through until the inevitable thawing of the douche or whatever it is, the double high five. There's
a film I hope we never watch.
The thawing of the douche. I'm trying to. I saw this. I guess it would have been a week and a half, 2 weeks ago almost now that I saw this. So I'm trying to pinpoint one moment. That is a great moment. And I don't know if I can just say the whole of the finale. That's not really an action replay moment, is it? I'm like, about the last 20 minutes of the film. It's pretty good. Yeah, I think, no, maybe I will say this. There is a moment in the finale where you think, this is about the end. And then there's the little like twisteroo part where have we all seen it? Can I okay, don't listen for 10 seconds. The bit where I thought maybe Goose's kid would die for a second, but then I was like, that would be a ridiculous thing to happen. But then when he gets grounded, from then on I was like, oh, this is sort of a surprising development. So I thought that was quite nice. I don't think it's an action replay moment, but the bit where it was like, oh, all of the planes are destroyed apart from, and then you're just like, okay, fair play, filmmakers.
Get him back in the
F-19.
Great.
That is great. Yeah. Enjoyed it a great deal. Okay, Matthew, hold tight. Before we go, it's time for action movie trivia.
Oh no.
Oh, boys! I'm back!
Okay, it's been a while. Let's see if Matthew can retain his title.
I hate this bit.
The podcast goes from fun to then being like a school exam.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. This is a deep cut. What is Jerry Fletcher's profession in conspiracy theory? That is a movie I haven't even thought about for 20 years.
Yeah.
Do you remember this movie?
Very in a sort
It's
of
old
way.
Gibbo, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's Mel Gibson, right? And I want to say Julia Roberts?
Oh God! This one.
Okay, I'm going to give you the options.
Yeah, you're going to
because
have
I
to give
can
me the
see
options.
your brain is foggy. Here we go. 4 options: A, doctor; B, police officer; C, janitor; D, taxi driver.
Say him again.
Doctor, police officer, janitor, taxi driver. He's got a 1 in 4 chance. 25%. He's going to have to take a wild stab in the dark at this point.
Yeah, this is a complete guess. I'm going to say janitor because that feels filmy, but taxi driver did feel right. I'm going to say janitor though.
Final answer.
Yeah.
Oh, it was taxi driver.
Go with your fucker.
Should have gone with the gut. I want to say conspiracy theory is maybe a Bruckheimer movie too.
I
Actually.
don't know.
That would have been a neat tie-in, wouldn't it, with the end of the pod. Let's type it in.
So imagine you'd prepared that, Simon.
What, to tie this whole this whole thing
Imagine
in?
you'd prepared that.
Conspiracy theory, 1997. It is Mel Gibson and Julia Roberts. We were bang on with that. Directed by Richard Donner.
Oh, there you go.
Can't see if it's a Bruckheimer. Actually.
Okay, let's just fade out here then.
Fade it out?
Yeah.
Fade it out. I was hoping for a lovely bit of verisimilitude.
Yeah, but it didn't get it, did you?
I wanted to tie it back around.
Yeah,
at the end.
but you didn't. If you
I didn't do it.
You could have gone
I
through the
couldn't
cards,
do it.
found one, but you didn't.
Could have found one, yeah. Could have gone through all of them.
Don't go through them now. Just fade it out.
Just fade it all out.
Thanks for
Just
listening, everyone.
Fade it out into the darkness. Hey, get Matt on Twitter. Get me on Twitter. Get him on Instagram. And it's going to say it after, but if you've enjoyed the podcast, give us a rating on Apple or Spotify and even leave a review if you're feeling frisky.
Yeah, tell a friend. Love you lots.
We'll love you for it. Yeah, share it. Share it with one person on socials. They really do smash that music in the movie. They nail it. I'm just going to fade you out, I think. Yeah. I think we're going to get a copyright strike otherwise. I don't remember it being a French horn, but there you go.
Change it.